Okay, let's try take 2. Can Jennifer be in first twice? Am I doing it right this time? Hello, everybody. How did I do this time? Now I've got nobody. Kitty's back with me. Cindy's with me. No, you're not first. Kitty beat you out. Dennis is... You guys that fight over getting in first. There's a trick to that. Jennifer would have to share it with you. Bailey's with us. Sage is back with us. Jennifer's finally reconnected. There I go. I'm like, I knew when I saw Rodrigo, I'm like, you know, there's somebody that's a friend that's not in the group. Sorry, guys, I screwed that up. Hey, Adele. Sorry for screwing that up, everybody, and being on the wrong spot. But luckily, I was still late to begin with, but I was in the wrong spot. But I'm glad to have you all with us. Hello, Jennifer, and Julie, and Melissa. I wanted to give Melissa a head start on her run. Hello from Pasadena in the house. Bailey's with us. Sarah. Catherine's with us. The happy Catherine. I know why she's happy. Thank you. I dressed myself today, just saying, everybody. And I was on a live stream. I'm going to tell you all about it. I was photographed for the paper today. I've been doing a lot today. Hey, Jerry, good to see you there. No, I'm sorry, Alexa. I was running late. I was on the phone and I was running late. And but that's sort of been the way it's been all day. I had a 2 o'clock appointment with Vina, and she's like, "Oh, you can hit me early if you're ready." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's almost 2 o'clock." Hey, Jeremy, Angie, hey. Yes, I am. I appreciate that you think I am fashionably late. That's great. See, I thought you wanted a head start, Melissa, and just wanted to keep on going. I thought that's why, you did that post so that I knew you'd get a good run in. Hello, Angela from Florida. Am I looking good, Mom? Marianne, did I do a good job? I'll do the twirl for you. How'd I do? I even had a sport coat that I was going to wear today, and then I left it in the car all day. Hello, Leanne. The sport coat doesn't look good on me anymore because it's too big. It's too big. I need a new sport coat. I need to go shopping at my resale store friends. The last sport coat I bought it Too Good to Be Through in San Antonio, I think. I have one from Bonnie that I bought at Bonnie's men's store that's too big. I have one that I bought in San Antonio that's too big. I have a few of them. Thirsty Kirsty's with us tonight. Hey, Thirsty Kirsty. Cheers. But didn't Mom approve, Zach? I'm getting a sense of disapproval since there was no follow-up comment. Yeah, Too Good is awesome. I'm really not that good. It's more luck. It's like Cassandra's picked out this outfit enough times for me that I could do it myself. It's really, I don't want to give the illusion that I really dressed myself. But I did. She's picked this enough time, this combination, that I felt safe doing it. And especially since I was on TV. So today, well, that's in my run-up. I'll give it when I get my list of some of the things I've done today. Hey, Michelle, how are you today? Ohio's getting ready to open. Okay. So we're going to start the day. Hey, Nikki. We start the show every day with our Good Morning, Goodnight book. And I've got it right here. So our good morning today is, good morning. Inertia's a hell of a drug. If you've been going nonstop, be an object at rest. If you've been at rest too long, get in motion. Don't rely on an external force. Kick inertia in the grundle. Let's go! Alrighty, how's that for a kickoff? Yes, Jerry is the birthday girl. Happy birthday to Jerry. Happy birthday to Jerry. Jerry had cake for breakfast. I'm really jealous. I got to talk to Jerry today, and that was exciting. On her birthday and everything. Hey, Lisa. How's my friends in Canada? Did you apply for the wage subsidy? Again, if you are in Canada, you should apply for the wage subsidy. 75% of wages for 12 weeks. So simple, so easy. You gotta go, if you are in Canada, you gotta go for that wage subsidy. It's such a good deal. And the rent subsidy, the rent program they'll be doing is super key once that all gets kicked off in Canada. Canada's doing a lot of things right, making it simple. Okay, so again, let's get us going here since I am late. Again, a reminder about the Industry Insights Survey. If you look in the NARTS Facebook group, it is there. Industry Insights, the statistical company that formulates the NARTS operating survey, has a third COVID-19 impact and implementation survey to help businesses understand the overall sentiment and action plans of their peers and to help you during this pandemic. This is beyond just resale. The research is being conducted across all industry types, and there's no fee to be a part of this study. The deadline to participate is noon on Thursday, so if you could do that, I know a number of you already have and have been posting how easy and quick it was. This is truly one of those easy and quick surveys, but it helps business leaders so much and helps provide statistical information that gets out there. Those are the things that the folks in Congress and government listen to, so please listen to that. Wanted to also share, so one of the reasons, I'm less cash today is the mayor of Leominster, like a lot of mayors around the country, is doing a daily update. And our mayor's doing something kind of unique. So if your mayor's not doing something like this may be something to suggest to your mayor's office to do. So, lots of mayors all over the country are giving a daily update for their town, city, region. And the mayor of Leominster is doing that, but he's going around to businesses that are closed, okay? And highlighting those businesses that are, quote-unquote, non-essential, but essential to his community. And so he came and was at one of our stores today, which was really great. And so he did his whole update from there and then did a whole video tour of the store, which was really great. Even got an order in right after the show from that, so that I know was directly related. And that was really nice. And it was a good talk. It was good to talk to him and to give him a kick in the butt with some catchphrases to call the governor with and such as we seek reasonable relaxing of standards. I mean, we want everybody to be safe, but we'd like a reasonable relaxing since Massachusetts has one of the strictest statewide standards in the country right now. So we did that today. We also... your newspapers and such are looking for positive pieces. They're looking for they're starting to look for positive news. They're pivoting. They aren't fully there on the positive. We covered that last night, that there's a lot of negative out there, and that's really what sells ad space and keeps the eyeballs on the TV and on the papers. But there is a little bit of a switch. So we had a positive piece that's going to appear, I think, in Thursday's paper. They photoed us today for that, and did a bunch of candid shots and stuff for the paper on. I think it's going to go on Thursday unless some news preempts us, but that is the plan. And I saw a draft of it, and it looks good. So I'm looking forward to that. Continued moving forward, but keep that in mind, both those things. One is a suggestion to your mayor, because it's a great way, it doesn't cost them anything, but it gets them in shuttered businesses, and it gets them in touch with what it is. I mean, the mayor and I had a real talk about community, because I'm like, well, this piece right here that you're looking at is your neighbors, okay, is the person down the street, okay? So if I can't be open to sell this, okay, if I don't have a way to sell this, that person down the street, it's hurting their income and the whole trickle down of how this works in our economy. So it was a really great conversation, and it was eye-opening for him. So, you know, that was a really important thing, especially, you know, as our governor today extended our stay. Not a surprise, our closure, but still frustrating. Let's see, what else do I got here? Lots of stuff. Courage is the theme of the week. Exhibiting bravery is doing something that is difficult. The quote of the week: every individual matters. Every individual has a role to play. Every individual makes a difference. That's from Jane Goodall. That's really good. Okay, I'm moving on. I've got advocacy things in my thing. I got so many things. I thought this was kind of cool. So some of you, hey, Reno, Blythe from Reno, and Sylvia's with us. Edwin, hey. Yeah, me and the governor are going to have words. But I understand keeping everybody safe, but I'd like a minor relaxation. I'd like to be able to have an employee in my building, and I'd like to be able to do curbside. That would be a great interim step to where we are. So many of you will remember that a few weeks ago, it feels like a few weeks ago, I don't even remember when I did it. Oh, I guess it was a long time ago. April 2nd, it's almost a month ago. It tells me right here in this form. A month ago, I went and donated blood in the middle of everything. And, you know, I donate blood. It's the thing I do anyways. It's easy. It was a little more complicated with the extra safety measures, but for me, it's easy. I've got it. It's not a big deal. But what I found was interesting that they'd never done before is they just emailed me thanking me for giving, okay, which is fine. And usually that's like, will you schedule your next appointment? Oh, I guess that's all the way down at the bottom. I haven't read all the way to the bottom, okay, to schedule my next appointment. But they told me that after first ensuring that the local needs were met, my blood donation was sent to New York Regional Hospital in New York to help a patient in need there. And it actually even somewhere told me which hospital it went to, but I'm not seeing that right now. But I thought that was just really neat, you know, so now my blood helped in the crisis that's in New York City. So I thought that was good. Ellen, how are you? I was talking about you and Mike earlier today, so I hope you and Mike are well. What you may not have known, that the U.S. Postal Service is hitting a huge funding gap, okay? And the administration has threatened to impose a package tax that would arbitrarily quadruple the cost of package delivery. Okay? Quadruple the cost of package delivery. Ah, Ellen, so the fact that I'm late is why you're able to tune in tonight. That's okay, Ellen. I love you. And Mike, even when he eats my dessert. So, tomorrow I'll post a link. The National Retail Federation has launched a grassroots campaign urging Congress to consider emergency funding for the Postal Service to help with this. I know I've talked to Congress about it, to several congressmen about it previously already, so they are aware of it, and there's a lot of support for taking care of the Postal Service and filling this gap. But this is huge, and it obviously would affect all of our businesses if the cost to ship all of our packages quadrupled or even doubled overnight. I mean, but they're talking quadruple. That would just be ridiculous. So, yes, it is already high. And the sad thing is if the post office quadrupled their rates, UPS and FedEx would quadruple theirs to remain competitive. Okay, you know that would happen. Okay, because they wouldn't want to be not competitive. Okay, but the president has that would be a huge thing. So and it would affect all commerce at all levels if that happened. So I will post the link to the call to action, which is a simple click through. I didn't get all this stuff pre-posted and scheduled, so it'll go out tomorrow when I catch up on it. I'm sure it got buried in the news. I mean, I know several of the big things like Shake Shack and Ruth Chris giving back money and the NBA team. This is for the U.S. Postal Service, Alexa. Sorry. That is the U.S. Postal Service that is under a potential administration threat to add a tax quadrupling the cost of packages through the U.S. Postal Service. But typically when any of the carriers raise their rates, the other ones don't say, hey, we're the cheap one. They all raise their rates to stay competitive. Okay? It's what happens with phone service. It's what happens with all things like that. Those types of monopolies. So it would be... oh no, Ashley. I'm sorry that you found your roof leaking. Hey, Nancy. Thanks for joining us. You've heard about the things like Shake Shack returning money, Ruth Chris returning money, Harvard returning money, one of the NBA teams got money. And so because of all the return money, the money that has come back so far, there's been $2 billion extra that has been returned. So $2 billion has come back to the SBA from the Paycheck Protection Program as part of their funding. So that is good news for all of us. And I know a lot of you have been getting your PPP funding, and that is great. I'm very excited for you, and I've been spending a lot of time helping you plan that. So again, it's a real plan. You need a plan for that money. You do not want the PPP money to be a loan. That needs to be a grant. It stays as a grant if you spend it on payroll in the immediate 8 weeks after getting it. So for some of you, that's easier than others. For some of you, that's trickier. Andrew, you got to contact your State Department of Unemployment Assistance. There's usually an online portal for the Department of Unemployment Assistance, and you have to contact them on that. But the PPP is for payroll, so if you're not going to use it for payroll, don't use it. If you need a plan, contact me, email me, Neil, Neil, at ECIstores.com, Neil at ECIstores.com, and I'll get back with you. I got quite a stack of people in my queue today, but I will get caught up tomorrow. I've got a couple meetings tomorrow, and then I will get caught up with everybody. You know, one of the ways, so here let's pay attention for a second, okay? Won't Amazon want a champion? Well, Amazon's trying to create their own fleet of their own post office, so that's another problem. But one of the things, here's an analogy for you about the extra $600, because I know a lot of you are looking for ways to help your people understand it and understand what you're doing for your business to keep your business alive and being closed multiple months. So here's a new analogy for you, okay? The things that we're doing to keep our businesses alive, okay, and survive so we can thrive after this is like if after the end of the unemployment period, everybody got a letter in the mail with the extra $600, and they found out, no, it's a loan. Okay, that the extra $600 was a loan, not just free money. Okay, that is the equivalent of what all of you are doing right now, going through your business. And it helps people understand, because businesses on the whole are being offered loans. The PPP is great if it can be a grant. Okay, it is not great if it is a loan. So you want to make sure that stays as a loan. And if you're unsure of the math in your particular situation, because there's a lot of individual situations here, both for payroll amounts and for full-time equivalents and how that works, I have sat with more and more people. That's what I spend most of my time doing, is doing the math for them, to make sure that they're going to get to keep it as a grant, because I do not want anybody to have it as a loan. Now, again, it says that you have to spend 75%. My general rule is telling everybody to spend 80% at least on payroll, so that you don't have a math error after this and find out that some percentage of it was not forgiven. As things start to ramp up with areas opening, Simon Malls, no word on defining FTE yet as 30 or 40. I'm still banking on 40, but planning for the worst with 30. Simon Malls, which has the largest real estate mall portfolio in the country, and that's lifestyle centers, everything. They have a lot of commercial retail real estate. And you will get approved. If you've already got it in, Diane, you'll get approved. I got faith in you. Is planning the phased reopening of its mall properties contingent on state and regional closures. And they have 5 malls set to open on May 1st, with more malls to follow in the first weeks of May. As it opens malls, Simon is rolling out COVID-19 safety protocols, including limited hours, occupancy limits, spacing configurations to promote social distancing, employee screening for symptoms, and employee training and face mask requirements for workers, among several other steps. Okay, someplace in here. So initially, it's they're going to limit entrances so that they can control the flow of people in and out of the mall. They're going to limit mall hours initially to 11 to 7 Monday through Saturday and 12 to 6 on Sunday. So that's just some of the things that they're doing to keep down crowds initially, but allow businesses to operate. So, reducing their hours is part of that, and that is likely to happen with a lot of us just because of a lack of business initially as well. But keep in mind, whatever protocols, you are the governor of you. Okay, you are the governor of you and your store and your family, and it's important to keep that in mind. Whoa, all my papers are knocking things over. Okay, that you have to be comfortable with your decisions in how you do it and what you want to do for your employees and what you expect for your customers. What's this? What do we got here? Unemployment and the PPP. So one of the fact checks on the PPP, if you're self-employed or get a 1099 and are now eligible for unemployment benefits and the PPP, you can't get both. So if you're getting a 1099 and unemployment benefits, and collecting unemployment that way, you can't. Once your PPP loan disperses, you have to come back off of that. You can hire new workers. We've covered that before. You can offer hazard pay. Again, any extra pay you offer workers is suggested to be a bonus so that you're not changing their rate, because rate can cause you an issue down the road. So if you have a $12 employee and say you're going to pay them $14 right during the 8 weeks as hazard pay or something, that can cause you more of a problem than giving them a $2 an hour bonus. So it's terms and such, because when you want to go back down to 12, that could cause you a problem. So those are just a couple things to keep in mind on that. The other thing that let me check my list here tonight. Hang on a second. My papers aren't standing up the way they normally do. I guess I'm getting too many papers. Again, I posted that employee self-screening questionnaire last night, which is really a great thing. Okay, two other things. Okay, as you plan reopening, okay, one of the things you want to make sure for your process is that it allows you to have... Yes, everybody that's getting unemployment is getting the extra $600, Diane. It depends on, Jenny, whether you're self-employed or an S-Corp. And an S-Corp you could be, okay, because there are S-Corp owners who were employees of companies, but are not, they've gotten their whole... all their employees back on the payroll, but did not put themselves back on the payroll. So in that case, that's fine if they are not working. So one of the things that you have to keep in mind for your process is to allow it to get you enough inventory to keep the sales that you want to maintain. A lot of us won't be hitting our sales goals in the in comps to last year. But you still you won't be hitting anywhere near your numbers if you don't have enough inventory. So you want to make sure of that. You also, as you reopen, want to make sure a lot of you have invested in new websites and have gotten online for the first time. You want to make sure your process for getting items online are streamlined so quick enough so that the items you're getting on are worth the labor you're putting into them. Okay, so that the time it takes you can't spend forever getting an item on a mannequin and moving it around and taking 12 perfect shots, glamour shots, for an item that's $10 or $15. Your process needs to match the items, and it needs to be with speed and scalable so that when you're open and you have all this other work, it's been fine while you've been doing it all yourself, but it has to be scalable so that you're not spending all this labor on an item that's only going to sell for $20. So just keep that in mind. And the other new thing that's happening today, and not meant to scare you, I've got feelers out to different people in the industry, but some of the big banks, that is correct. Unemployment income is taxable, so if they decided not to get taxes taken out, that's on the employee, because depending on the state, it's an option, but that is taxable income. Michelle's question is if her state hasn't been ready for self-employed unemployment yet, but when she finally gets that, if the PPP came in first, does she lose out on unemployment? And the answer is you lose out on unemployment going forward, but you can get the unemployment retro back to March 29th without a problem. So you will be able to collect on that. So the other thing that's happening, and this is going to sound scary, okay, but I want it to be on your radar, especially as you ramp back up operations. And I have reached out to industry representatives of the credit card groups to get more information on this, but I have heard from retailers that it is happening to, and so I wanted to make people aware of it just from a cash flow perspective. It's been happening with the big banks, depending on who you use for processing your credit cards. So some people use First Data, some people use Square, some people use Bank of America. It doesn't really matter, but pick whoever you use to process your credit cards. Some of them are now requiring a reserve. Okay, and they've instituted a reserve without any notice, okay? It's something that's in your contract. If you read that 20-page agreement you signed when you agreed to take credit cards, you agree that they can create a reserve if they decide that there is a reason they should have a reserve. some of the big guys are using the pandemic as a reason to decide they need a reserve. So all of a sudden you start getting business back, ramping back up, but you don't have any deposits. And you go a week, 5 days, and you don't have any deposits because they're holding it and creating a reserve account for you. The reserve amount varies by your volume. It can vary by your history of chargebacks. There's several things that can go into creating a reserve account. A lot of times when there's been problems either resolving a chargeback, there were large chargebacks and things, is when a reserve in the normal course of business gets created. So it's a normal process. But some of the big banks, and I've heard Bank of America and First Data creating reserves on retailers in the last few days, last week. So I have reached out to people to get more information on what's happening with that. It is something that can be fought, but it can, be scary when all of a sudden you realize that your credit card deposits aren't going in. So it's not necessarily doing it to everyone. I have reported cases of First Data doing it, okay? But lots and lots of people use First Data, and I don't want to draw any direct lines and say it's all First Data. So I've reached out to find out, I've reached out to several people to find out whether this is a widespread thing, if everybody is doing it. You find out when there's not money going to your bank. Eventually, 3 weeks from now, they probably actually get a notice in the mail. But you first find out when you're not getting your regular deposits in the bank. The reserve depends on the retailer, Melissa. So I'm glad you could type and run. The reserve depends on the retailer. So, one of the retailers I talked with today is a big appliance retailer, and so their reserve was quite large. Some are, wondering if it's a game to make sure they get all their fees at the end of the month. I don't know yet. So that's why I've reached out to some of my industry contacts to say, hey, what's going on? What's really happening here? Tell me the story behind the story, because, when a merchant tells me, I only know part of the story, okay? I don't know that they had, 12 Gucci handbags that were never delivered in the mail or something over the last month. So I don't know what the entire story is. My guess is, my personal guess, and this is just a guess, is that something is getting triggered in the systems of the bigger banks based on the percentage of card not present transactions that are being run right now. That is just my guess. Okay? Percentage of transactions not run by chip is triggering a fraud alert, okay, because everybody is doing more transactions over the phone or online, and so as a percentage of business, it is triggering this situation. I don't know that for sure. That's just my guess. I expect to have more information on it tomorrow. And yes, Scott, I think it's some sort of algorithm that's getting triggered. That is my guess, but I don't know that for sure. That's why I have reached out, but it was alarming enough that I wanted to make people aware of it, because especially as you're starting to ramp back up and get excited that you had a good weekend or a good sales day, I didn't want you to suddenly be disappointed if the money wasn't in your bank account, okay, and freaking out about that. So I wanted to alert you to the possibility that this is happening. It's been mixed results so far in fighting it. In the initial people that I know that are fighting it, one fought it and got it removed, another hasn't gotten it removed yet. But I have reached out. I expect that I'll have more details tomorrow, but I didn't want to ignore it, especially with everybody starting to do more business and get excited to actually have some money in their bank account. I did want to at least have it as something that you guys were aware of could possibly happen. It could happen at any time anyways. It's part of the contract. I know there's only 2 of us on here that reads every word of that contract. And that's okay, because the guy says you either sign it or you don't take credit cards, and everybody signs it. So I understand that. So keep that in mind. But I will have more data on that, I expect, tomorrow, because I sent out all my messages late this afternoon to say, okay, I need the real story of what's going on here, and break it down for me. So I expect that to be a topic tomorrow night. And I'll have more information, but just wanted to lay that out there. And as every night, I will be here again tomorrow night, and maybe I will be even more on time tomorrow night than as late as I was tonight. I apologize to everyone again for my tardiness tonight. But I am here every night live in the NARTS Facebook group at 8 o'clock Eastern. The video replay of this goes to the NARTS Resale Strong page, narts.org/resalestrong, which is all the resources you can share with anyone. Adele keeps them all organized there, as well as a link to the replay of these videos, which these videos replay tomorrow at noon on the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store, but they are also linked directly from narts.org Resale Strong. When you have a question, you don't know the answer to it, you can ask it here live. You can email me, which is the easiest way to reach me. Neil, N-E-I-L, at ECIstores.com. Neil, N-E-I-L, at ECIstores.com. I spend all day returning all those calls and getting more information. I am a little more than a day behind. I'm like 2 days behind right now. I got a lot in the last 24 hours, but I return everybody's call. Do not worry, I will return your call, because you are not alone running this store. Every night at the top of the program, we start with the Good Morning, Goodnight book. For those of you that were not with us at the top of the program tonight, our good morning was inertia's a hell of a drug. If you've been going nonstop, be an object at rest. If you've been at rest too long, get in motion. Don't rely on an external force. Kick inertia in the grundle. Let's go. On page 2, our good night. Inertia's a hell of a drug. If you've been going nonstop, be an object at rest. I don't think that's really in my schedule. If you've been at rest too long, get in motion. You decide your momentum, love. There is the artistry on that. That was our Good Morning, Good Night book, what we start and end every day with. Okay, I am Neil Abramson. I do a great party. I do weddings. I do bar mitzvahs. I do anything that's a good party, because I am there for you. I will be back here again tomorrow night live at 8 o'clock. I'll be dialing all of you tomorrow and getting us to the other side, because you, and especially you, are not alone running this store. It's time for dinner, everybody. I will see you tomorrow.